Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today I will teach you how to make Roblox GFX. And how you do that is that you would need this plugin called Load Character Light. And what you do is you see this little GUI here. You type in your Roblox username. For this case, it would be my username. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure that the spawn at origin is checked. Then you want to make sure that you hit spawn R6. And what that does is it makes your character just on the base plate. And what you want to do with that is you want to right click on the character in the Explorer tab. Then what you want to do is you want to hit export selection. Then you want to make sure you hit your desktop so you can just easily access it better. Then you can just name this whatever. I'm just going to name it my Roblox username again. Then you can just export it like that. And that's basically how you get your character onto the renderer. Then what you would want to do, you want to go to this link over here, right? And you want to download this rig called Charlie. It will have a .lib4d file, which is basically like a file you can open with Cinema 4D. Then you can just download it. Well, for my case, I already have it downloaded, so I don't need to download it. But just download it from the description, and that's how you would basically get the rig that you need. Now let's hop over to Cinema 4D over here. Then what you want to do is you want to open project. Then you want to make sure you select the Charlie thing that you downloaded. Then you want to hit open. And what that basically does, it'll bring up this little GUI here. You want to double click on this. It will say this little GUI would pop up, but just close out of it. It doesn't matter. Then just zoom out. Then you notice how there's this just random noob here, right? It's not really lined up. You want it like kind of up here, right? So what you want to do, just type 0. Then it will just bring it up to the width that you want. And what you want to do, how you import your character and get it onto this little rig here, is you want to hit merge project, then that thing that you downloaded. This is basically a .obj file is what you exported. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you hit file, merge project, then you want to go to your desktop and select it. It'll bring up this little obj import here. You want to make sure the preset is custom. Then what you want to do is you want to hit the scale to 100 centimeters. And what you want to do is you want to hit invert transparency. Then your character should come up as this. It might come out as black, but that's fine. All you just do to fix that, you go into the textures here. For each individual texture, then you select each whatever texture that you need. And for instance, for this texture, it's the one that I have right here. And just this little GUI prompt, you can just hit no, it doesn't matter. But basically, you imported your character, right? You want to make sure that the rotation matches the front of the character. Then you kind of notice how it's kind of blurry. What you want to do for that is you want to select these textures, or how many textures there is that is for your character. You want to turn off reflectance, transparency, and alpha. Then you want to head over to editor. Then you want to go to texture preview size. Make sure it's no scaling. And that's basically how you get the little smooth textures right here without any blurriness or pixelated. Then you can kind of see how the character is kind of like merging between them. You want to go through your .obj thing over here. Then you want to delete the head, the arms, and the legs, and the torso. So you should just be left with this. Then what you want to do with that is you want to hold shift and select each individual mesh here, I guess you could say. Then you want to open this Charlie thing right here. Then you want to make sure you click and drag it into the head attachments. Then that's how you basically do that. And if you notice, your character doesn't have its like original textures like it did in the Roblox Studio. How you do that is that you'd go into the Charlie thing, then you head over to this little tab over here. Then you want to make sure that each individual like lock here, just unlock it. Then you can just drag the textures over there. That's what I do. You can just drag them on there and they will pop up. Then make sure you lock it back once all of your textures are imported. That's basically how to get your character into the little render itself. And we're gonna head over to the settings here. What I like to do is I like to render in 4K, even though it might be too overkill. You might want to go for like 1080p, which is 1920 by 1080 width, and just go for the resolution of like 144, and that's basically it for the output section. For the save option, you want to go to format and change it from TIFF to PNG. Then you want to select alpha channel. What alpha channel does is it basically removes the background, so it wouldn't have any like black background or anything in there. Then you want to go over to this like little browse thing over here and select what you want to name it and where it wants to render. So for my case, I would just want it to be rendered as render. Then you'd hit enter. Then you come over to, actually this whole, you don't have to worry about this section. Go to effect and you want ambient occlusion and global illumination. What these two basically do is they help you get the lighting right. Is you want to make sure that you have, go to the global illumination, you want to go under preset, and make sure it's exterior HDR image. That's how you get the lighting. And if you want, you can change the renderer from standard to physical. And that's basically how to do that. Next is how to set up the lighting. You go to this little thing over here, then you go to sky. As you notice, it's just a blank little sky. This is what this website is called. It's called HDRI Haven. Then what you want to do is you want to head over to this HDRI, then you go over here, then it says skies. You want to click on skies. This is all linked in the description, by the way. If you're wondering what website this is, it's all linked in the description. You can choose a variety of skies. This one looks like a good sky, I'd use it. Make sure you download like the 4K option, I'd recommend. Then make sure you download it onto your computer. It might take a little bit, just wait for it to download. Then once it downloads, what you want to do with it is you want to head over to your Cinema 4D over here. You want to double click on this little like area over here, or you can just do create new default material. Then it'll create just a default material. What you want to do is you want to uncheck reflectance, then go to color, and this little texture thing over here. You want to make sure that you double select the HDR file that you just downloaded. Double select it, hit no. Then it'll basically bring up the sky thing right here. And then just bring it over to the sky, right? And as you notice, the sky, you don't want this in like the original picture, you know? You kind of want to get rid of it. So what you want to do, you can go over to this little thing over here. You can go to render tags, and then you want to make sure it's under compositing. You want to uncheck scene by camera. This is basically how to get rid of the sky. And then that's pretty much it. You can do a test render right here, just to see how it looks like. That's the test render over here. Now you're probably wondering how to get that little like glossy look. What you can do for that is you want to make sure those two little textures are selected. You actually want to check reflectance. You want to go into reflectance, hit this, hit remove. You don't want it. Then you go to add Beckman. Then it'll make this little weird thing. You know, you don't want that. You want to make sure that attenuation from average to additive, or just additive, I don't know how you say that. Then you see how it's like really, really glossy. You want to turn down that reflectance strength to like 0. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure the roughness, change it to like 23, and specular strength to like 4 or 5. And that's how you get that glossy look. I know how you're wondering like, hey, it's kind of like in the way of my face of the character. What you can do for that is you want to head over to this little light bulb thing, just hit light. Then what you want to do is you want to position it to where it seems right. And for my case, I think it looks good around there. And you can just Control V it just to get another one of them if you want. I'll just head over to here. I think this spot's good enough just for the light. And then you can do a little test render to see how it looks. Then as you can notice, it's really glossy. Just go ahead and add like a, I don't know, PBR light or something over here. Or if you want to do another way, you can just add a default light. I'm pretty sure it does the same effect. Just make sure you just offset it over to you. Then what you can do, you can actually move these if you didn't realize. You can move them for the posing. You can just move them anywhere. I like to just separate the limbs, I don't know, over there. If you want to select like a whole kind of limbs over here and the whole body, you know, you can just make sure you select the base part, which is this part. Then if you want to like move a specific leg, you can just hold shift and select each one or something. Works the same way. I think that's good for a pose. Let's just get the head in there. If you realize how the little, like, let's say you have something on the neck, you can just literally put it in the torso attachments because technically it's attached to the torso. And then you can just make it look at the camera. Then you can just zoom in and then render by pressing this button. This is just for the previews. If you want to actually render, you must hit this. And right now it's rendering my character. It looks pretty glossy, you know. Now we're gonna head over to Photoshop over here. Let's say you wanted to create a logo. You'd head over to File, New. Then you want to make sure the width is 1000 by 1000. Then just make the resolution like 144. Then it'll bring over this. You want to make sure you unlock this background over here. Get your render. It should just be named whatever you named it. Just drag it over. Then you can see there's no background. There's no black background you have to get rid of. It's all just transparent. Then what you can do for the editing, if you want, I like to increase the contrast a little bit. Go to Image Adjustments. Then you can go to Brightness, Contrast. Make sure you tick Legacy. I like to increase it by like 15. Then go with about like 5 for the brightness. That looks pretty good. Contrast is pretty good. Then let's say you wanted to work on a background. Let's say you're going for like a kind of color scheme. See how my shirt's yellow? Let's say you wanted a yellow background. It's gonna go for like a yellow text code. Just random yellow. I know some people say it's orange. I don't know, it's just gold or something. You would kind of say that's just it for the background, but you can obviously just add effects to it. I kind of add one of like a spiral effect or something. Photoshop. You can just download them from Google Images. Yeah, like you can go for this. Just hit save image just to save it if you want. Then you can just drag it in. Just make sure you upscale it so it fits the barriers. It should just fit regularly. If it doesn't look like it fits, just like, I don't know, just position it until it looks right. You can do, you see where it says normal? You can do overlay. And then it adds this little overlay here. You can turn the opacity down to like 45 maybe. Then you can just hit the eyeball in the renderer. And that's what you would say just for a classical logo. If you want to go in more depth, consider subscribing if you want for a better tutorial. I'll probably make one soon. You can go for like outer glow if you want. You can just add outer glow. Just add like an inner shadow too. I kind of like to add a little bit of inner shadow. Make sure it's overlay. Overlay looks really nice with it. And yeah, that's basically how to make a little good logo. And save it, go to File, Save As. make sure you hit save on your computer. Then you want to change it from a Photoshop file to a PNG. Then you can just name it logo. And then hit enter. Just make sure it's a large file. Why not? And not take as long. And that's basically the logo. Looks like this. And that's basically how to create Roblox GFX. If you like another tutorial, consider subscribing for another tutorial if you want another in-depth tutorial. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.